If you have stepped outside lately, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is bone-chillingly cold out there. And if you own an electric car or you're thinking about buying one, you've probably heard the horror stories. People say that the batteries just give up when the temperature drops, or that you'll be stranded at a charging station for hours while your heater struggles to keep you from turning into an ice cube. Welcome back to Nick's Car Review. Today, we are busting the myths and counting down the top 10 EVs that can actually handle this brutal 2026 winter. We aren't just looking at fancy screens today, we are looking at the tech that keeps you moving when the mercury hits zero. Coming in at number 10 is a car that was literally born in the snow, the Volvo EX90. Volvo is a Scandinavian brand, which means they do their testing in places that make a typical New York winter look like a tropical vacation. The EX90 is basically a rolling supercomputer designed to handle the worst conditions on Earth. While other cars are struggling to keep their sensors clear, the EX90 has a LiDAR system sitting right on the roof that can see through the dark and the snow up to 250 meters away. But the real win for winter is how they build their batteries. They use advanced thermal management to keep the battery pre-conditioned, which is just a fancy way of saying the car keeps its own heart warm so it's ready to go the second you hit the start button. At number 9, we have a newcomer that is causing a lot of drama in the car world, the Nio ES6. Now, you might have heard that Canada just made a huge deal to bring these Chinese EVs into North America. One of the main reasons they did that is because companies like Nio have been perfecting cold weather technology for years. The ES6 is specifically designed for northern climates where the temperature stays below freezing for months. Instead of just using a standard heater that drains your battery, these cars use ultra-efficient systems that capture every bit of waste heat from the motor to keep the cabin cozy. It is a calculated, high-tech approach to winter driving that is going to force every other company to step up their game. If you want a car that was built to survive a Canadian blizzard, this is a serious contender for your driveway in 2026. Moving right along to number 8, we have the BYD Sea Lion 6. Now, I know what you're thinking. Nick, isn't that a hybrid? Technically, yes, it's a super hybrid. But the reason it's on this list is because of how it uses its electric blade battery to survive the cold. In parts of the US, where it's currently 10 below zero, having that extra gas engine as a backup is like having a warm blanket in a blizzard. But even when you're running on pure electricity, this car has a secret weapon called snow mode. It's a terrain-specific setting that manages how much power goes to the wheels so you don't just sit there spinning your tires in the slush. Plus, it has one of the coolest interiors in 2026 with a massive 15.6-inch screen that can actually rotate from portrait to landscape mode. It's a high-tech, practical choice for anyone who is worried that a pure EV might leave them shivering if the grid goes down or the range drops too low. Now at number 7, we have the heavy hitter, the Rivian R1S. If you want an SUV that looks like it could eat a snowbank for breakfast, this is it. Rivian just rolled out a massive over-the-air update for 2026. That makes this thing even better in the winter. They added a specific snow mode that softens the throttle response. This is huge because when you have over 1,000 horsepower, if you tap the gas too hard on ice, you're gonna end up in a ditch. This mode makes the car feel much more gentle and controlled. But my favorite winter feature is actually in the Rivian app. Before you even put your boots on, you can open your phone and tell the car to make everyone's seat toasty. It will turn on the heaters for the seats and the steering wheel and even start defrosting the windows while you're still finishing your morning coffee. For 2026, they also expanded their universal hands-free driving to over 3 million miles of road. So once you get onto a plowed highway, the car can take over a lot of the work, letting you relax a bit while the sensors keep a 360-degree eye on the slippery road around you. It even has 14.9 inches of ground clearance in its highest mode, which means you can literally drive over the piles of snow that the plow leaves at the end of your driveway. It's rugged, it's smart, and it's one of the few cars that actually makes you feel invincible when the weather turns nasty. Whether you're looking for the safety net of the BYD or the pure mountain climbing power of the Rivian, These two are built to keep you moving when everyone else is stuck. At number 6, we have the car that is basically the gold standard for winter technology, the Tesla Model Y. Now, look, I know everyone has an opinion on Tesla, but when it comes to cold weather, they have been doing their homework longer than almost anyone else. Since 2021, every Model Y has come standard with a heat pump. Think of a heat pump like a refrigerator working in reverse. It's about 50% more efficient than the old school heaters most cars use. That means you can keep the cabin at a cozy 70 degrees without watching your range drop like a rock. But the real pro tip for Tesla owners in this deep freeze is the schedule feature. If you tell the car you're leaving at 8 a.m., it will start warming up the battery and the cabin while it's still plugged into your house. This is a game changer because it uses the electricity from your wall instead of your battery to get everything up to temperature. It even has a special defrost mode in the app that melts ice off the charge port and the mirrors before you even step outside. In the latest winter tests, the Model Y long range showed one of the lowest range losses in the industry, proving that all that software and hardware is actually doing its job when the snow starts falling. Moving up to number 5, we have the Hyundai Ioniq 6. This car looks like a smooth Riverstone, and that streamliner design is actually a huge advantage in the winter. See, when the air gets cold, it actually gets thicker or more dense. It's harder for a car to push through cold air than warm air. Because the Ioniq 6 is one of the most aerodynamic cars on the planet, it doesn't have to work nearly as hard to slice through that thick, freezing wind. Inside, the Ioniq 6 is packed with standard winter tech. Every model except the base trim comes with a battery heating system that keeps the pack at the perfect temperature for fast charging. This is important because if your battery is frozen, a fast charger will feel more like a slow trickle. With this system, you can still hit those 800-volt charging speeds going from 10% to 80% in just 18 minutes as long as you use the navigation to tell the car you're heading to a charger. It will pre-warm itself on the way, so you aren't sitting in a cold parking lot waiting for the juice to flow. Plus, the heated seats in this thing are some of the best in the business. They get warm fast and stay consistent, making those dark, icy morning commutes feel a lot more manageable. Coming in at number 4 is a vehicle that has stepped up to become the new king of the electric workhorses. Since some of the older electric trucks have moved toward different engine setups, the Chevrolet Silverado EV has taken the lead for people who need a truck that can survive a deep freeze. The biggest problem with winter is that you usually lose about 20 to 30% of your range. But the Silverado EV fights back with a massive battery that offers up to 492 miles of range in normal weather. Even when the temperature hits 0 and the cold takes its tax, you are still left with over 350 miles of usable range. That is more than most electric cars have on a perfect summer day. But it isn't just about a big battery. The Silverado EV comes with a high-tech heat pump system that recycles heat from the road and the motors to keep the cabin warm. This means you don't have to choose between being warm and reaching your destination. And for the people who actually use their trucks for work, it features a mid-gate design that lets you fold down the back of the cab to carry long items like lumber or skis while keeping the rest of the cabin sealed and warm. It also features a massive 17.7-inch screen that is easy to use even if you are wearing thin driving gloves. It is a rugged, long-distance beast that doesn't care if the roads are covered in ice. At number 3, we have the Kia EV9. This is the vehicle that officially proved a big, 3-row family SUV can handle the ice without breaking a sweat. Kia puts their vehicles through brutal testing in places like northern Sweden, where it is sub-zero for most of the year. The EV9 uses a high-tech heat pump that is about 3 times more efficient than a regular electric heater. It actually pulls waste heat from the motors and the electronics and recycles it to keep the interior toasty. This gives you a warm cabin without a massive drain on your battery percentage. The superpower of the EV9 is its 800-volt charging system. Usually, cold batteries charge really slowly, but the EV9 has a dedicated winter mode. When you use the navigation to find a fast charger, the car will start preheating the battery while you're still driving. By the time you pull up, the battery is at the perfect temperature to drink up the power. You can still hit that 10 to 80% charge in about 24 minutes, even in the middle of a January snowstorm. Plus, the all-wheel drive system has a specific snow mode that carefully balances power to the wheels so you don't slide around when turning. It's the perfect MVP for a big family that refuses to stay home just because there's a little snow on the ground. We have finally reached the top of the mountain. At number 2, we have a masterclass in German engineering, the BMW iX. This car doesn't just handle the winter, it ignores it. For 2026, BMW updated the iX with a new thermal management system that is one of the smartest in the world. But the real magic trick inside the iX is something called radiant heating. Instead of just blowing hot air at your face, which can make your eyes dry and your skin itchy, the iX actually heats the surfaces of the car. The dashboard, the door panels, and even the center armrest get warm to the touch. It feels like being hugged by a heated blanket. On the performance side, the iX uses an intelligent all-wheel drive system that can shift power between the wheels in milliseconds. In our tests on icy roads, it felt incredibly stable, almost like it was glued to the pavement. For 2026, they also boosted the range on the xDrive 6.0 model to over 360 miles. Even if the freezing cold takes a 20% bite out of that, you're still left with plenty of juice for a long road trip. It's quiet, it's luxurious, and it's arguably the most comfortable way to survive a polar vortex. Finally, we have the number 1 electric vehicle for winter 2026, the Lucid Gravity. If you want the Ice King, this is it. Lucid didn't just test this car in a lab. They took it to the Alaska tundra and sub-zero chambers to make sure it could handle the most extreme conditions on Earth. The reason it takes the top spot is simple: range padding. The Gravity has a class-leading range of over 440 miles. When it's 10 degrees outside and most EVs are struggling to hit 200 miles, the Gravity still has over 300 miles of range left in the tank. It's the only EV that lets you drive like a normal person without constantly staring at the battery percentage. And if you do need to charge, the Gravity is a lightning bolt. It can add 200 miles of range in just 11 minutes. In the winter, you don't want to be standing outside at a charger for an hour. With the Gravity, you're back on the road before your coffee even cools down. It has a massive frunk that can act as a heated storage space, and the all-wheel drive system is tuned to handle deep snow with ease. It is the most well-engineered, winter-ready vehicle we have ever tested. That wraps up our top 10 list for the 2026 Deep Freeze. Whether you're looking for the safety of a Volvo or the massive range of a Lucid, the technology is finally here to make winter driving stress-free. So, which one of these icebreakers would you want in your driveway? Let me know in the comments below. And hey, if you're watching this while it's snowing outside, stay warm and stay safe. This has been Nick's Car Review. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.